What's going on, guys? It's Arrow. I'm back with another video, and today I want to talk about the 0.2.0 G patch. It sounds small. This patch is a massive overhaul to what I believe is the biggest problem in PoE2 right now, loot. So let's get into it. So we have a pretty large manifesto here of explaining all of the loot changes, but I'm going to try to distill it down to the most useful information. So if you're watching this video this morning, this patch is not live yet. It went out last night, but they had to roll it back due to some errors and will be pushed back out again today. So they start the manifesto by saying, in order to prevent too much item spam, in Path of Exile 2, we wanted to rely on item rarity more and item quantity less. A lot of you will remember that before PoE2 even launched, I released a short video that discussed how the new rarity system worked and why I believed it was going to be a big problem. Well, it turns out all of my predictions in that video were correct. It has been a huge challenge for GGG to balance this new rarity system. PoE2's item rarity system is so incredibly powerful that if not tuned properly, things will be completely out of control. Brief summary is that rarity affects the type of item that drops on the ground, so normal, magic, rare, unique, but also the rolls on that item through a tiering system we will get more into later. This tiering system has been buffed significantly. The higher a tier of item that drops on the ground, the more that item is going to be better quality. It's going to drop with better bases, is going to drop with higher tier modifiers, and overall will just be a better item on average. So here we are in the phase of another massive change to loot. They give an example here of a wisp possessing a monster, giving +2 drops and 300% more monster item rarity, and they say that it just doesn't feel meaningful enough, which is absolutely true. But here's the important part, the next sentence. This is just one example, but this problem affects drops game-wide from all monsters and chests. This is absolutely true, and them recognizing this is huge. Let me start with two changes that they made in order to make all of these buffs. Number one, player rarity has been nerfed again. I expected this to happen. They said that they don't want player item rarity to be mandatory on gear, so they've actually reduced the effect of the modifiers of player rarity. I think this is a good change. I think magic find on every gear piece is a problem. It makes the game significantly less interesting. Once again, they are nerfing magic find. They are also lowering map item rarity because the effective rarity will be higher. They wanted to balance this out by not giving too much on maps. So basically what they're saying is the overall effect will be the same, but the displayed number will show as lower. So before you could get 80, 100% rarity on a map, now you're going to get 40 or 50. However, these things are countered by giant buffs. So let's talk about them. We've modified the rarity value at which normal items no longer drop. That means unique bosses will never drop normal items except for a select few in the early game. No more killing a map boss and getting a white bow and a bunch of gold. And that segues into the next thing, which I think is super, super important. We have halved the amount of rare gold drops. A rare gold drop is a big pile of gold. Gold is not super exciting to find in this game because there aren't a lot of ways to spend it. And gold actually culls other things that you would have otherwise dropped. If a monster was going to drop you 5 items and it chooses one of those items to be a rare gold drop, it would cull an otherwise shot at a headhunter or a divine orb. And these gold drops are happening all the time, and they are culling potentially good items. So here's the solution. We've halved the amount of rare gold drops. This means that if you roll a rare item, you get more rare equipment or rare currency instead of gold. Rare gold piles are now twice as large, so you still get the same amount of gold as before on average. This is super important. Getting gold is still a good thing. The strongbox that allows you to spend it is really, really powerful. So you still want to get gold, but now you won't be getting so much of it at the expense of other items. That tier 5 bow that you were going to drop will actually drop instead of 10,000 gold. The next significant change is that they are lowering the number of low quality items that will drop from monsters with really high item rarity. So these items to them are gold, magic currency, things like transmutes, quality currencies such as glassblowers, baubles, flasks, charms, and runes. All of these things are going to drop significantly less, and they say that these changes will result in around 20 to 30% more rare currency, Exalt, Alch, Regal, Divine, etc. Now, to get to what I believe is the most important line in this entire patch, Tier 2 rares now drop 4 times more often, and Tiers 3 to 5 now drop 30% more often. A lot more tiered rares. Tiered rares are the best way to get good rares in this game, and it's not close. If you drop a tier 5 rare, it may not always have the modifiers you're looking for, but it's always going to have high level modifiers. So things like boots that don't necessarily have a ton of possible item modifiers are probably going to have a pretty good shot at getting 35 move speed. And then on top of this, the mods of tiered rares have also been improved by cutting out more low-level mods, making them better on average than before. More tiered rares and more quality tiered rares. The only problem here for me is that we still cannot look at tiers of items in loot filters, which means we have to show all rare items if we want to look for tier 5s. This is a huge problem. GGG, please fix this. This should be super high priority. It is making it very, very difficult for players to look for good items. And all of these tier changes are for naught if nobody adjusts their loot filters to show the high tier items. So they've also made these changes for tier 2 and up magic items, so you're going to see a lot more of those. And it looks like tiered magic items are actually going to be better than tiered rares. If you find a tier 5 Gemini bow, there's a pretty good chance there's going to be a really high roll of fizz or something on it, meaning these are probably going to be worth picking up for recombinating. Recombinating is not in a great state right now, but it is a functional system, and it is going to allow you, if you are willing to pick up the bases, to create some better items for your build. I'm going to be doing some testing with recombinating in the coming week or two, and hopefully put out a video on how to do it properly. So with all of these buffs to rarity, there's also buffs to content-specific rarity and content-specific loot. Azmeri and Wisp got a small buff in that they always will drop a rare item, which early on is going to feel really impactful. And it looks like some pretty huge changes to magic and rare chests. Chests are okay to open. Opening a rare chest will sometimes give you a decent pile of items, but generally not really. So it looks like with these changes here, you're going to be much more excited to open chests. They say magic chests are about as rewarding as rare chests were before, and rare chests now drastically have increased item rarity and quantity and guarantee a rare. Another huge change for me is strongboxes. So strongboxes have 100% more increased item quantity and rarity in the endgame, and it also says that researcher strongboxes, which are very weak at the moment, will now have a much higher chance to drop a rare currency instead of magic currency. Whenever you open a researcher strongbox, it usually drops a pile of augs and transmutes on the ground, which don't show up on your loot filter because they're worthless, meaning researcher strongboxes aren't even worth clicking for the most part. However, if this is a truly much higher chance, researcher strongboxes are going to be very powerful. Now, I'm not sure what this line means reduced the variance in the number of items strongboxes drop. They now should consistently drop a good number of items. I don't really know what the variance was before, but hopefully it is a consistently good number of items. I personally am going to be changing my tree back to strongboxes. I already tested it once and I didn't love it, but I will be running strongboxes again later on stream. You can check me out twitch.tv/AER0__. All of these changes that we see in these patch notes are going to be tested on stream, but we have a couple more things to talk about. Trial of the Sekhemas, this was actually buffed as well. The chests are getting a lot more rarity and quantity. So if you liked running this trial, you're going to see a lot more rewards for running it. In the Trial of Chaos, this is a massive change. I can't stand running this trial because I can't stand that the reward at the end of every room is a 4-mod bricked corrupted item that is absolutely useless. These things aren't even useful on day one. They're certainly not going to be useful in the end game. However, there is a big change here that says, as you continue to increase the level you play in the Trial of Chaos, corrupted rares are phased out from the rewards and rare currency stacks are phased in. So, stacks of exalts, stacks of alchemies, potentially stacks of divines. This is a huge change, and I actually may be interested in farming the Trial of Chaos if this change is impactful enough. So we're going to test this as well. One of my favorite pieces of content in PoE2 right now is Expedition. Unfortunately, I don't find it to be super rewarding, but Expedition is getting the same treatment as strongboxes. The chests are going to have the same balance increases from rare and magic chests that we saw above. Rewards from Expedition Remnants are buffed. They've doubled the number of Expedition artifacts that drop and increased exotic coinage by 50%. So lots more Expedition currency. I'm looking forward to doing more of this. Delirium got a buff to its rarity per depth. So about 2.5 times what it was before. So the longer you spend in a Delirium map, the better the rewards get. They are also making changes to Splinter drop rates. So Breach, Delirium, and more Audience with the King. All of that is good news. I still feel like there is not nearly enough access to pinnacle content in this game. This change is probably not enough, but it's going to help a lot. For those of you who have not completed all of your nexuses yet, there's one final change in here that talks about the number of nexuses you need to complete for your Atlas Pageantry. It was an incredibly long and tedious grind. I did finish it, but it was very frustrating. But now they've multiplied it by a bunch, so now you get 5 skill points instead of 2 for each nexus that you finish. So all in all, I think this is a massive patch. I'm super excited. I'm really looking forward to getting back in. I'm playing a very goofy build right now. Spearfield cast on crit, Elemental Expression, Invoker. It's been a ton of fun. We are in tier 10 maps right now, and I plan to get it to the end game today. So make sure you stop by stream, check it out, twitch.tv/AER0__. Come say hi or drop a Twitch Prime. That's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff down below. Comment, tell me if this is enough to bring you back to PoE2, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care.